If we just go back into our Teetime settings and turn them on now, I can explain what each individual setting does. So allowing member bookings, if you allow members to make their own booking, you can get them to require the members to enter the names of their playing partners. If that is set to yes, then the members will need to enter each individual's playing partner names before the finish button is clicked and then the emails are sent out. So if, for example, they choose a 2-ball booking, they will need to enter their playing partner John Smith into the booking, and that finish button will then appear. Allow the members' names to be seen. That means if you're viewing the tee sheet, you can see what particular members are on the tee sheet already. Time that Teetime's open for booking online. If, for example, you allow your members to book 7 days in advance, that 7 o'clock time on there is the day, the time on the day 7 days in advance that you can book. There is also the ability to have members to book on the touchscreen, and then the time before the second booking can be made, that's currently set at 270 minutes. So that's not the time they actually make the booking, that's the time on the tee sheet. So if, for example, you book at 8 o'clock, you wouldn't be able to then book another tee time until 270 minutes later. There is an option as well to show a message to the members on successful completion of the booking, and we'll then save those settings. So what we can see is if we now go to the members homepage, we click onto My Golf, you can now see the option there to book a tee time. That will then take them through to the daily tee sheet. If we then scroll down, we can see the options to select. Or if you see the options to select, you'll let them make a booking. If we go back into our keys and bookings and into a view only option and save the settings, when we then go back to My Golf, it now says view tee bookings. And if we then scroll down, there isn't an ability to actually make a booking. You can view them, but you can't make the bookings. That's the difference between the two. If we then go back to our Teetime settings, I will quickly explain the visitor bookings. The visitor bookings, if you currently allow them to make bookings, if you have any reduced rules at that time, you can then set them and they'll show the percentage of the discount. Again, playing partner names must be provided. If that's set to yes, they have to add all of their playing partners' names into the booking itself. Allow Teetime services to be booked. If you have any buggies, any trolleys, electric trolleys, push trolleys, etc. If you allow them to be booked, you can set that to be yes, then the visitors can book that at the time. Or if you don't have any, you can turn them off. If you have either SagePay or PayPal for online bookings, you can set the time to remove the unpaid bookings, and also you can set the amount of the booking cost to be paid at the time. There is also an option to notify guests by email, and there's also an option then to send a follow-up email. There is a quick link on there, so if we click onto that one, it will take you through to your communication template where you can put in a visitor follow-up email, and that will send automatically X amount of days after in that respect. Once we've saved those settings, we can then go on to our tee booking rules directly. If we go into our Teetime booking configuration, what we can see here, we've got visitor rules, member guest rules, and broker rules. So this obviously is all determined by how they're actually making the booking. There is a filter at the top. So if, for example, if you wanted to see what particular rule was applicable for a certain day, we can obviously use the date picker, and we can select the time. So we can select the 1st of April, and we can select a specific time, for example, 10 o'clock. And if we then update, we can see which rules are applicable, and we can see that the weekday visitor rule is currently applicable. So there's just some filters on here in that respect, just for ease of use. If we then scroll down, we have 4 types of rules. So exclusion rules, basic rules, reduced rules, and specific rules. And what the system will do is that will prioritize these rules when a person is allowed to make a booking. So an exclusion rule is the first rule that the system will look at. If there's an exclusion rule in place, that means that visitors won't be able to make a booking during that period. So normally exclusion rules will be used potentially for, like I say, a bank holiday, or for, like I say, for a greens maintenance day in that respect. Your basic rule is the rule that will default a particular price. So if, for example, I was to make a visitor booking on a Tuesday at 10 o'clock, the weekday visitor rule would come in place, and that would obviously be the default rule in place, and it would charge accordingly. A reduced rule is, like I say, something, for example, that would be used for a twilight rule, where you have a basic rule up until a certain time, and then you reduce that rule for the remainder of the evening. And also at the bottom, you have a specific rule. This will obviously then be, like I say, used for a bank holiday, where you're overriding your basic rule with a specific price for that Monday, and you don't have to create a particular basic rule for. The system will look at exclusion rules first of all. It will then look at any specific rules, then any reduced rules, and lastly, it will look at your basic rules. So when creating a new visitor rule, you have to go through the process of filling in the information. So first of all, you can add in a description. You need to select the course. So for clubs that have more than one course, you would need to select which particular course it's applicable for. You also have an option to start it from the first tee or from the 10th tee. You can select both if you have give the visitors the option for that. And this is obviously where, again, we were talking about our type. So in the current climate, potentially you can set an exclusion rule, and obviously then you can exclude any visitor bookings from now until a certain time moving forward. And it was just working exactly the same as a basic rule in terms of setting the parameters in that respect. Once you've set your parameters, so for example, you have your 1 ball price, your 2 ball price, 3 ball price, and 4 ball price. Obviously, you enter the prices in accordingly. In your available green fees, if you tick it all, you have your override green fees come into place. If you click onto some, you can then select which particular override green fees come into place, and you can then select those when making a particular booking. I'll touch upon the override green fees in a little while with relation to adding those to a particular booking. We can then scroll down. There's an option for whether it's a 9-hole rule or an 18-hole rule. Normally, there'll be not 18-hole rules. You'll pop in your date range, so the date it will start. More often than not, clubs will have a set of summer rules and then a set of winter rules. So like I said, they'll be set up in advance. Just use the date picker of when the rules start and when the rules will end. Select which day it's applicable for, so whether it's a midweek or a weekend rule or just a 7-day rule in that respect. And there's an option then of the exact time that the rules start. So you can use the exact time before or after sunset, sunrise, or before sunset. So if you put in your exact time, and then the rule can finish at the end. Tee times available, all times as per the rule. That means every single tee time between your start time and end time will be available. Or you can use this one here, alternate times only, and that will obviously then select alternate times, which I'll show you shortly in a moment. Minimum and maximum days ahead. Normally for visitors, the maximum number of days ahead, so it will be 7 days. If you're a member, it'll be 14 days, for example. So it's just a selection of how far in advance that they can book. And all it is a case then of saving the rule, and then in your visitor rules, that will then appear in that respect. So what we'll do now is I'll just quickly show you the difference between all times applicable per rule and the alternate times in that respect. If I just go to an incognito window now, and we can look at this as a visitor. So we can see, if we take tomorrow, for example, we can see that every 10 minutes, as per our interval, there is a tee time available to visitors. And obviously we have all of our prices incorporated as per our visitor rule. If we then go back into our rule, click onto edit, we then select our alternate times only and save that particular rule. If we then go back as a visitor, we refresh, we can now see that 6:20 is no longer available, neither is 6:40. Therefore, what this has done is it's effectively set your tee intervals for visitors to be at 20-minute tee intervals. That's the difference, obviously, with regards to, like I say, grouping on the tee, for example. Normally, like I say, you have 10-minute intervals, whereas if you use alternate tee times only, it effectively becomes a 20-minute interval for visitor bookings. As an admin, you'll always be able to override these settings, but it's in place for the visitors themselves. If we then move on to our member rules, again, you have the option of using specific dates, times, you can obviously view expired rules, but the only difference with this one here is for member specific, So if we click on to specific, we can type in a particular member and we can see what rules apply to that particular member. So just another way of seeing, more often than not, if you have flexible members, you want to know when they can play, that's a good tool to use in that respect. In our member rules, again, they work exactly the same. So we'll just take this general rule here. If we click on to edit, again, we can see the name of the rule, the course it's applicable to, whether it's a first or 10th P start, whether we're allowing 1 ball to 4 balls, and the difference between the member and the visitor rule is in the visitor rule, you put in a amount. Within the member rule, you effectively put in what membership category is applicable to that particular rule. If you have flexible members, you would assign a green fee to it and only assign your flexible members to that particular rule. Again, you have the option of whether you've got buggies or clubs, so in terms of tea time services. And again, 9 or 18 holes, start and end date, days, and then the times. Again, at the moment, this one is set as all times per rule. So what I will do is I will quickly show you now how this views to the member. If we go to My Golf, quickly set that back to the members are allowed to book. Save those settings. If we now go back to the members homepage, this is what the member will see when they're logging in. So if we go to My Golf, book a tea time. If we go to tomorrow, what we can see is every 10-minute interval, 8 o'clock, 8:10, 8:20, etc., is currently available because within our tea booking rule, all times are as per the rule. Again, what we can do is we can alternate the tea times. If we then save that particular rule and go back in as a member to My Golf and then book tea time, we can see it becomes an alternate tea time, thereby 8 o'clock, 8:20, 8:40, 9 o'clock, etc., thereby extending your tea interval minutes from 10-minute intervals to 20-minute intervals in that respect. Again, that's then going to prevent you from having a build up on the tea because all of your tea intervals are now extended to 20 minutes. Just a case of, let's say, preventing that build up on the tea and obviously allowing those in that respect. If we scroll down again, there's an option there, all times as per rule, and alternate tea times only. Again, the admins can override it, and obviously they'll be able to send them the booking rule in between. Again, you have your minimum days ahead and your maximum days ahead, so you can prevent that. And like I say, that time is related to the setting in the amount of days per head. Member guest rules. So first of all, you need to have your members booking rules in place before you can create a member guest rule. Member guest rules relate to members bringing visitors across onto the system. And we can see we've already got a rule in place here. And again, we've got the makeup of both a price and a membership type. So it's a combination between your visitor rule and your member rule in terms of those membership categories who are allowed to book and the price for that particular visitor that they're bringing. Again, you have tea time services if you want them to be available or not. Holes, 9 or 18. And then obviously, again, a start and end date and the amount of days that they can book in advance. On here, the only thing that you'll notice is slightly different is total guests per member. What this is not per tea time, but this is per member. So this is for clubs that have an incremental rate as per the amount of guests that they bring. So for example, if you were going to bring between 1 and 5 guests, you can then charge them £25. You could then create another rule from 6 to 10 guests, and obviously you can charge them £30 in that respect. So it's for those that have an incremental rule for members' guests. It's not total guests per member in terms of the physical tea time that they're booking. It's actually overall during the duration of that particular member guest rule. If it's applying to online bookings, that means the member will be able to pay for it as per the amount when they're making the member's guest rule. And obviously description visible during online bookings. Again, if that's ticked, they will see the amount it's going to cost them per guest. Many of you use brokers, the setup is exactly the same. You will create a broker rule, and obviously that will then feed through to the independent third-party broker, whether that's tea off times, online tea times, or for example, play more golf. So like I say, it will just feed through the times that are available, the days that are available, and obviously which course it's then available for in that respect. So within regards to your membership and to your visitor rules, I briefly touched upon your override booking rules. So if we just go back into one of these booking rules now, so available green fees here, currently all are available, or there is the option for some. What we can do is if we go to admin fees and bookings, and then in the middle column under our planner and events, we have one that says manage event items. If we click into that one, there is a section here called green fees. What this does is it allows us to create an override green fee, and what we can do with that override green fee is we can assign it to a particular booking. And that will obviously give you your reciprocal rate, your county card rate, your fellow PDA professional rate, for example. And what that will do is that when you're making a particular booking, it will allow you to override the default green fee price, which will be the price that's pulled through automatically as per the default basic rule. It will allow you to override that at the time of booking to a lower price in that respect. Okay, so what I will quickly do is before I go is if we go to admin and help and support, we can see on our T-booking section down here on the right hand side, and these are our help documents that we've currently got for all of your T-booking, etc. So everything that I've covered today in terms of Teetime rules, for example, there's a further breakdown in here, visitor rules, member rules, etc. It tells you how to create all of your rules and how to set those all up in that respect, as there is with regards to your Teetime settings. Like I say, this video will be posted online shortly, so you'll be able to get all of the information from this video. You'll be able to come back to it, and likewise you will also be able to view the documents in terms of the help documents that are currently available. Any questions with regards to, like I say, the T's and bookings, either pop a ticket across to us or give us a call on the normal support number. Okay, thanks for joining us today, and like I say, we'll be in touch again moving forward with any of the other demos and webinars that we're going to be hosting. Okay.